Good show, good show, good show. Best Bachelor recap ever on the internet. Let's go, let's go. Hello, welcome to You Know Something with Dena and Tia. I'm Dena.
And I'm Tia, and today is October 8th, 2024.
And this is our BachChat. If you came here to learn something new, to expand your brain like we normally do on Wednesdays, you came to the wrong place. We may atrophy your brain just a little bit because we are talking about the Golden Bachelorette. We are recapping it, but I'm having a really good time. I know it's kind of silly. It's different than what we do, but it is fun. I'm having fun. How about you? Huh?
Today's not October 8th. It's October 9th.
Is it?
Yes.
No, it's October 7th. Oh, no, it's
no,
not.
No, it's not. Okay, you know something? We don't even know what date it is.
So it is the 9th.
Uh-huh, okay. It is.
Okay. Whoosh.
Well, you went backwards in time, and so did I. Yay.
Okay. Now, if you've never listened to us before, we're going to recap the Golden Bachelorette on ABC. Even if you don't watch it, we try to have fun. We talk about love. We talk about relationships. We talk about the fashion that Joan wears. So I think you can get something out of it, and we hope you will stick with us. Before we start, Tia, I want to say, we have fun. We judge these guys and the women, and maybe we get a little harsh sometimes. And we don't know these people, so we're assuming some things because we have to have an opinion about it. But I did see on a bachelor group that we are members of, I felt a little bad. You remember Jack, who was eliminated. Was it last week? Yeah, last week. We always talked about, or I did, I can't remember if you did or not, that he has a drink in his hand often and kind of scopes out the bar and that kind of thing. So I said that was a red flag for me. I don't know the man, but did you feel the same way?
Yes, I remember I'm the one that said everything you just said.
Okay, so we're in this together. So, but these are all human beings. They're people. We don't know them. So we're just having fun here. We're not trying to destroy someone's life or accuse them of something. So the reason I'm saying all that is because I saw this post on the Golden Bachelor group that we're in, and I monitor our social media a little more than you do, Tia, and I came across this, and you don't know this, so I wanted to read this to you. A member in this Golden Bachelor group said, her name is Julie Ann Smith, "For those of you saying that they can tell that Jack is an alcoholic, I'm here to tell you that it is reckless and it's a hurtful statement. I have to come to his defense. I've known this man for 40 years. He is not an alcoholic. He actually saved my daughter's life because she was using drugs as a teenager, and I rounded up my village, my people, to help me keep my daughter alive. I needed help and resources. Jack stepped up for me and my child. He hired her because I asked him to. He kept her busy at work, working in his kitchen. I forgot he was a caterer.
Chef.
Yeah.
Wow.
He kept an eye on her. I talked to him daily about my struggles. He gave me advice on what to do to make sure my daughter would get clean. He honestly was a huge part of saving my daughter's life. We really cannot judge like this because it's not true what you're saying. Your comment is reckless. He is a good and fun, loving man, father, and grandfather." So, I prefaced all that to say we're not claiming to know these people.
Exactly.
And stating facts. So, but that's a good counterbalance and kind of a little reminder when we are talking that these are...
We're doing this just for fun. So,
yeah.
We don't know these people, and I don't think that neither one of us would say something to be hurtful to anybody. It's just what your perception is of the show. So,
yeah. And it's kind of the persona he chose, it seems to me.
Exactly.
And maybe there is pressure and from the producers or whatever when you get there to say, "Oh, fun, you're the fun guy, you're the drink guy, you're the bar guy, you're the kitchen guy, you're the jolly," there may be some pressure to choose a persona. Everybody's three-dimensional. So, but I did want to give him a fair shake, and that's a very sweet story, a very important thing that he did. All right, we also have a call. We got a call from a listener friend that had a lot of good points. Tia, you haven't heard it yet. I want to allow us time to play that, but I want to wait till after the rose ceremony because there are some spoilers in it, but I want to get your thoughts on. She had some great thoughts, and we're so glad that people are starting to participate and give us their thoughts, because we do want to hear from you. And we know you guys are out there screaming at us with opinions. So why not call us and scream at us? All right, so let's get into it. Jesse Palmer, the host, came out and said that there will be 2 romantic one-on-one dates and 1 very competitive group date. So do you want to go ahead and get into the dates, or do you have anything to say about any of the preview stuff?
I just, you know how I do, I just take notes. So
Yeah.
I said, starts out with Joan not knowing if she's ready when she's standing there, when it comes on.
Yeah, they kind of do a little teaser always to make you worry. Anything else?
Yeah. And this is funny how this goes from one end to the other, because I said, well, Pascal just went down in my book a lot. He's lazy and entitled. After what he said, he didn't deserve the one-on-one.
We'll see how that goes, right? We'll see where that takes us. Well, you were kind of coming over to my side about how I felt about him. And once again, that's his persona that he's chosen for some reason. And you said that based on the fact that he says, I don't cook, I don't clean, I don't do laundry.
Right.
I felt like they're kind of starting to get on each other's nerves. They've got them crammed into these bedrooms when there's this big house. The snoring's getting on each other's nerves. Jonathan said there's gazers and they're gazers and grazers. They're not participating in the cooking. They're watching us cook, and then they're eating the food. They're not participating. I just happened to put that down. Do you want to get into the date?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so the first one is a one-on-one, and the card said, let's see if we're lucky in love. And she chose Pascal. I figured when they said lucky in love, it would be Las Vegas. Did you? Okay.
I had no clue.
Okay. Pascal said he was really touched that he was chosen, and he wants to try to be more vulnerable and take down that snobby wall that he has. He even teared up a little bit. So he passed to pack his suitcase because he's either going to stay or go. Based on whether or not he gets the rose. And Joan said she chose Pascal for the one-on-one because she already knows he's hot and confident. He's got a lot of spunk. He's funny. She likes all those things, but she wants to see what's in his heart. See if he can reveal his heart. So she picks him up in a red convertible. Did you know what kind of car that was? I was trying to look to try to figure out, but it impressed him. What did you think about that?
I'm an SUV chick. I don't like convertibles and low-to-the-ground cars.
Well, I thought it was interesting that he said, I got to warn you, I drive fast. And she was like,
I'm driving. Yep.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. Now, it did emasculate him a little bit, I think, that maybe he needed that, because of his attitude. So they drive to the airport in the red convertible with Joan's hair blowing, her long blonde hair. And they arrive at the airport, and there's a PJ, private jet, with a red carpet. What did you think about that?
That was cool.
Yeah. I mean, they're playing up on the fact that he's a snob. But it seems to me like you should have chosen somebody who's never experienced something like that. If he's really experienced this type of life, why is he getting to get all that? But they're playing up on that caricature that he's building, I think. As they take off, I noted, I don't know if you did, the kiss. He turned her chin toward him. I thought that was kind of awkward. Did you think that was hot or weird or?
No, I just thought it was sweet. I couldn't wait for him to talk. And then she said, because my next thing is, she feels super visual.
Okay, that he sees her. So,
yeah.
Yeah, they go through the hotel. I noticed that Pascal is taller than Joan. I wasn't sure about that, Tia. I have the impression that he's short, and you kept saying, no, he's not. No, he's not. So they walk into a room full of clothes to pick out outfits for the evening, and that was very glamorous, too. And they do a little outfit change. Like, what do you think of this?
I put, the outfit changing cracked me up. Sonny and Cher, pretty woman. She likes the way he lifts her up.
Yes. Yes, the Sonny and Cher thing was funny. I mean, he showed his chest. He opened his shirt. I was impressed.
Very.
His chest looked like a 40-year-old chest. Amazing. So I'm starting to change my mind about Pascal. So she said he makes her feel young and sexy. They kiss quite a bit.
Very.
That's
He's from Paris. Yeah. Hello.
Oh, and he said, this is called a French kiss, don't you? Oh, that was later. I jumped ahead of that. But Yeah, she said he makes her feel super visible. Like you said, that seems to be real important to her because she feels invisible. So while they're having their great day part of their date, choosing their outfits, I did like the dress she chose. It was really pretty. Back at the mansion, Charles and Gary are shopping at, looked like a pharmacy to me, for melatonin and other sleep aids.
Yeah, they were going to go fix the snoring for everyone. I loved that. That was hysterical. The onesies.
Yeah.
Wow.
Was that a shark? Well, I was trying to tell what that was. They got hearing aids. They got a sleeping mask, the melatonin.
Not hearing aids.
What is it called?
Earplugs.
Yeah, they didn't want to hear it even more with the hearing aid. Earplugs. So there is a snoring situation. Which, guys, when you reach a certain age, it happens. It happens. All right, so we travel back to Vegas after that little humor break with the guys in the mansion. And who walks in the door while they're trying on their clothes, Tia?
Wayne Newton. And I said, wow, I didn't know he was still alive.
Is he, though? Is he?
I don't know. I put laugh out loud. I don't know.
I don't want to be mean, but is he still alive? I couldn't tell. I wasn't sure. He is Mr. Vegas, and I should show him respect for. He's been around a long time and made a lot of money off of one song, Donka Shane. But yeah, he was a little shocking.
Yes, he's 82 years old.
82?
Mm-hmm. He was born April 3rd, 1942.
Okay. All right, we'll move along. But he sang and they danced together. I did want to ask you, Tia, because it always interests me. I don't know if it interests you. What did you think about her dress for the trip on the plane and the date in Vegas? Do you remember it?
Mm-hmm.
What'd you think?
I liked it.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
But I thought she looked great. But I thought, I wonder if she brings her own clothes or if they dress her. So I did a little research, and here's the dress. I know you remember it, but it's a Zimmermann Natura linen floor belted mini dress, and you can buy it for $447.95. I will not be doing that.
No, I will not be either.
So they are having a shop the look kind of thing. So they're selling clothes while they have the show, which you can't really blame them for that. Back at the mansion, while Joan and Pascal are dancing to Wayne Newton, Charles and Gary take their haul back to the mansion, all their sleeping things. They put on the masks, the onesies. They're having fun. But then we see Charles being kind of serious, talking about the sudden loss of his wife, and he decides to talk to Guy, one of Tia's picks, who is an emergency room doctor. She had literally fallen off from his shoulder. She was with him and leaning against him and fell to the ground. And there was blood coming from her mouth. And for some reason, this has stuck with him. She died of a brain aneurysm, but wanted to know why there was blood on her mouth. It's kind of a dark topic, but it was a big part of the show. So he sat down and talked with Guy. And do you remember anything from that conversation?
I just thought that Guy was extremely attentive and very kind to Charles. And I think that he gave him closure for that. Because he said, she bit her tongue, Charles.
Right.
And so that was very kind of Guy to take the time out to talk to him.
Yeah, I'd love to see that side of Guy.
Uh-huh.
And I found him more appealing after watching that. And sweet Charles, I hope he is. Sometimes you got to have all the information to grieve and to move on. Unanswered questions, It's like, what am I dealing with here? So I think that was helpful too. So that was sweet. Back at Vegas, Pascal kind of has a heart-to-heart with Joan about his perceived persona as a snob. And he told her this kind of the story of his life. They're having dinner by the pretend Eiffel Tower in the Paris hotel.
Mm-hmm.
And what was your takeaway from that conversation?
Again, I take notes as the show goes on. So I said, I'm dying to know the story. Obviously, he's a self-made man.
Right.
And he is.
Yeah. He said that when people hear you live in Paris, they think glamorous, but not all of Paris is glamorous. Any place can be glamorous if you have enough money, and otherwise it's not. So he was poor. His parents weren't really affectionate to him, he said. he had a hole in his shoe, and when he had the opportunity to go to the U.S., he took it. Now, that was kind of a vague. When I had the opportunity to go, I took it. I'm not sure exactly what that meant. Maybe we'll learn more. But he said his dad put cardboard in his shoe. And so that'll hold you until you can buy a pair of your own. He didn't really speak any English. He was all alone, and he would talk to himself in the mirror and give himself some affirmations. Which, I mean, that really touched me, Tia.
Oh, it did me too.
Yeah.
Totally.
And I kept saying, if we can just see the other side of Pascal, maybe I'll feel differently. And coming from poverty like that and coming here was so brave, I can see where he talks about what he's accomplished more. You know, people who are newer to money or weren't born with it talk about it more because they've accomplished it themselves. You know, you kind of keep it quiet when you're born into it, I guess. But it made me more attracted to him. You already were attracted to him. But
well, I just liked him.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you know, at first, I mean, I was like, he really went down in my book, and then he came right back up.
He probably went up a little bit higher.
It was like a yo-yo.
It's the roller coaster of love that we go through on The Bachelor, Bachelorette, Tia. So I think that really touched Joan. That was what she was looking for. That's why she wanted to have the one-on-one. Joan said she studied computer science at the University of Maryland, and she wrote code until she got married. So I thought that was an interesting thing, because she got in right at that beginning of, she was smart enough to say computers are going to be big. I did not do that. I did not invest in computer stuff. So back at the mansion, Gil's still there. He reads the group date card.
Jonathan is acting a little bit like a baby before the team challenges.
In what way? Before the team?
Oh, because he's like, I want to get the team, because if I get a one-on-one, what if she doesn't pick me?
Oh, yeah.
Like, really?
Well, they're all wanting a one-on-one.
Right.
He does. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So Gil reads the group date card, and it's funny that you put that note, because my note says they really don't want to hear their name for a group date because they want the one-on-one. Yeah. And the group date card said, let's play the field. So I figured since they said it was going to be a very grueling group date, and it said field, it would be football, was my thought. The group date included Chalk, Gil, Dan, Charles, CK, Greg, Gary, Guy, and Captain Kim.
His name is not Gregus.
Greg.
No, it's not. It's Greg.
And for some reason, Captain Kim looked red-faced when they showed his name. He must have wanted the one-on-one.
No, he did. See, I told you he's a big baby.
I thought you said Jonathan.
Well, he was acting like a baby, but I
think
Kim is wow.
Yeah, he's got a hair trigger temper.
Mm-hmm.
He needs to get his blood pressure checked, I think. He was actually tapping his foot up and down, his knee up and down. Jordan, Mark, and Keith. So basically that's everybody except Jonathan, right? And Pascal, because Pascal's with Joan. Okay, and like you said, Jonathan's crying. There's my note. Jonathan crying. And that's bringing him down in my book.
Yeah. So
back in Vegas, Joan and Pascal ride the big Ferris wheel. It's called the High Roller, which was, incredible. Have you been on that? Are you a Vegas person?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Last time I went to Vegas, I don't believe that was there. But I don't know if I can get on that or not. But it's a great view of the city, so it's romantic. She tells Pascal that he has a big heart. And he's so resilient that she's someone that she could count on him. Because she knows he came from nothing. He's responsible. He's strong. And that's what she's looking for. She asks if he will accept the rose. And he says, oui, oui, oui. And they kiss. And that's when he talked about the French kiss.
French kiss, yes.
I'm not really sure that kiss did it for me the way it looked. I mean, I don't know what I look like when I kiss somebody either. I probably would never want to see it. But so at the end of that day, that would be weird. At the end of that date, how did you feel about Pascal? How did you feel about Joan? And how do you think the odds of him being chosen at this point are?
I think, you mean at
for
the
the
end?
whole thing, yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I'm still going to have to see more.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously I started out with him, so I guess he'll continue to fluctuate whether I'm going to like him or I'm not. I don't know.
Yeah. I felt like Joan turned a corner of her doubt, that she may have been having.
Yes.
She saw a whole other side of it. And if I got on The Bachelor next year, the Golden Bachelor, and it was Pascal, I would be willing to, I would be interested. There's some guys I would not be interested if they were The Bachelor, but next year. But and before I would have said no. So it was a turning point for me too.
Yay!
So Tia, you were correct in picking him for me. All right, so then the football date, because these guys are a certain age, they got some aches and pains and maybe some osteoporosis that we need to watch out for. They decided to make it a kickball.
And Keith loves starting his day with Quaker Oats.
Oh, yeah. I think that was a commercial, maybe?
No, I mean, he really said, I love starting my day with Quaker. I thought that was hysterical.
Oh, yes, it's right. It's the Quaker Oats Kick Bowl. That's what they're calling it. Yeah, so we got to put that placement in there. That's so funny. So they brought out two guys that everyone's supposed to know, and they got all excited. I've heard the names, but I never would have known them from their face. It was Eric Dickerson and Andre Reed.
I do.
You do know them both. They're football legends.
Yes.
Yeah. And they were looking pretty fine, too. I wondered if Joan was looking. So, I just made a note that Jordan and Mark looked hot.
I wrote, again, Charles cracks me up.
He didn't know anything about it, did he?
Nothing.
Nothing about baseball.
Nothing. Love him.
But he was willing to play. You weren't going to sit.
Exactly.
So we liked that. And they kind of did I've played kickball many times when I was in school and in my neighborhood. We never threw the ball at each other. Did you do that to get them out?
Yes.
You did?
Yes.
Okay, we must have been playing a wussy version of...
Apparently.
That's like dodgeball.
Wow.
So they divide into two teams. The red team, CK, Guy, Mark, Grega, Dan, and Chalk. Was that all of them? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then the blue team was Gil, Charles, Gary, Captain Kim, Jordan, and Keith. I think I got that right. It was just kind of chaos. Lots of injuries.
No, Keith said, we think we're 25, but our bodies say no. And I wrote, I so can relate.
You want to do it. Tia's an athlete, lots of different sports. And you want to get out there and do it, but you pay for it sometimes. Tia can still do a cartwheel, people. Just at a moment's notice. I wrote down Chalk pulls a hammy. Mark hurts his hip. He's the baby of the group. Greg Giga slides into third. But I thought he impressed me most of all. He looked youthful. He moved well. He did the slide. Now he paid for it. But I started being attracted to Greg Giga during this game.
Not I.
Charles, he's never played. We mentioned that.
I just put God love Charles.
And any other notes before I announce the winner of the kickball tournament? The Quaker Oats Kickball, I should say.
Because I've got something after you announce.
All right. And the blue team won. So they have a kickball after party. They're all kind of achy. They're maybe not feeling it totally yet. But then it kind of becomes the chance to talk to Joan one-on-one, to pull her aside like they do at the cocktail party kind of thing. And I don't know how our notes will cross over each other. I just kind of put a note of each person she talked to and what I thought. So, and then you can I'll just say the guy's name, and if you have any thoughts or any notes on that guy, then we'll go down that way. Jordan, who's one of my favorites, he asked for a victory kiss. I put he is just so cute. What are your thoughts on? Did you have any notes for Jordan?
I do it as the show goes. So I put seriously. Kim puts his hand on her butt. No.
I didn't see that.
When he was sitting on the bleachers, he had his hand on her butt.
Seriously?
Yes. And I went, no.
How did she react to that? Did you notice if she was just...
Well, I mean, you could tell she was uncomfortable.
Oh, no.
You could totally tell that she was uncomfortable.
Ooh. Ooh, what about Captain Kim, yeah, that's what you just said. I put he had a hurt shoulder and shin. No conversation was really shown, so it must not have gone well. So would that have been when he had his hand on her booty?
Yeah.
So maybe she said something, they had to just stop. Because it just like,
Yep.
he was sitting there and interesting, Tia. Charles, they talk about his wife. Is that when he told her about what Guy said?
Yes.
Yeah, so he was feeling better. They sit very far apart. They just have a brother and sister vibe.
Right.
Good friend vibe. It's my impression. Joan gets a call that her mom is sick. Her mom is 92.
Right. And Gary and his prayer love it.
Yeah. He asked what her name was.
And he does matter.
Yeah, he's very sweet. Keith misses his daughter. That was kind of the gist of their conversation. Nothing romantic, really. And he was the first impression, Rose, and got the kiss and all that. And now that seems to be kind of going down in my book. They're not building up their relationship, was my note. Joan said, of course, it's my job to take care of my mom. So she's got that stress on her.
Right.
She's always the one having to do everything. And I think that's why she's looking for a guy that will take charge and help her. She needs help. No shame in that. Gil, we're still got Gil because he's just involved in everything. They can't edit him out.
I said, apparently he always wears blue and white shirts.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I said, and he gets the rose, question mark.
Yeah. So when they talked, he talked about his adopted daughter, and he kissed her on the cheek. And I can't remember if she turned her head or he turned. It was kind of awkward, and they kissed on the cheek. So when it's time to give out the rose, she does give the date rose to Gil. I put ugh. And they can't edit that out to you. Hopefully next week we will get a Gil edit. Or maybe she lets him go. Maybe they're just letting it go because she's going to let him go. We don't know.
No, we don't.
And then we go back to the guys who lost. Did she give them all massages or the winners' massages or the losers' massages?
I think everybody that just went to the house needed help. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. So Tia did notice that Guy.
Well, that was just funny.
Yeah. I mean,
he said, let's just do this the way we're supposed to do it.
He looked fine in this little black box that they used to cover. Are you a massage person? Do you enjoy massages?
I hate them.
I
like hot stone massages.
Oh,
That's
I never
it.
had one.
Because I don't like people rubbing me, but the stones, it's just stones, and that feels wonderful.
I feel the same way. I used to house sit for a lady who would give me a massage every birthday. She'd say, I got you a massage certificate. And I thought, I did it the first time, and I was like stiff. Mm-hmm. I could not relax. It made me more tight, more stiff. And the girl that was massaging me said,
relax.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She said, if you cut dairy out of your diet, it'll get rid of the cellulite. So I didn't go back.
See, I would have got up and hit her and left.
I mean, it wasn't a lie, but...
Rude.
Okay. So massages are not for us, but the guys really enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. They were popping and cracking and... So any other thoughts before we go to the one-on date regarding the kickball? Did you change your mind about anybody?
I put Kim as a weirdo and a jerk.
Okay. So you didn't change your mind about that?
No, but I mean, I'm just reading what I wrote.
Each one of these dates are revealing things to us and making Tia and I change our minds. So obviously Joan, she's right there. She's going to be reevaluating things as she goes along. All right, so Jonathan gets the one-on-one date, as we said. His shirt was unbuttoned down to his navel.
Yes.
How do you feel?
Let's not do that.
Just one more up, maybe?
Yes.
Button one more.
Yeah. Yeah.
I listened to an interview with him. It was very revealing to me. We don't have time to talk about it today, but maybe next week I can tell you some little tidbits. You can tell me if you think they're red flags, green flags, yellow flags. But it was a very revealing interview to me. But he did say, the turtle has symbolism in the Native American. And I don't know. This is what Jonathan says. I don't know if it's true or not. But the shell protects your heart. Mm-hmm. You come out of your shell. So that's what he planned to do on this one-on-one date.
Then I put his eyes are dreamy.
They are. They just really, really are, Tia. He meets her out in a pasture on a horse.
Mm-hmm.
And are you a horse person?
I love horses.
Do you ride often? Or?
I used to.
That's great. I've been on one twice. And, that's just not enough to not be intimidated by a horse. Because they are, and I've cared for horses many times. Cleaned the stalls, fed them, brushed them. But to get up on them is a whole different other thing. They are both nervous. Joan says a horse bit her once.
Right.
So she's not really a horse girl. And I think she was looking for Jonathan to take the lead here. And my cowboy. I kind of feel like this date might have been planned for, you remember Dan back at the very beginning, the ranch guy? Mm-hmm. Little Dan. She let him go first thing, so he would have ridden that horse well, I'm sure. But Jonathan says, well, you're going to have to take the lead on this. And I saw her face drop. I don't know if you noticed that or not.
But there were a lot of hogs. Mm-hmm. And I just think that she's got a lot on her mind because she wasn't into that very much at all.
Yeah. Number one, she doesn't like horses. Number two, he was more scared than she was. That's not what she's looking for. She wants somebody strong and to take the lead. That they kiss so easily. Mm-hmm. I mean, then she just like they've known each other for a long time and kissed a lot. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Whereas the other guy, she seemed a little more awkward with the kisses. So I did make a note of that. She looked cute. She's wearing little ankle boots like you wear, Tia. I made a note of that. I don't know if you noticed them.
There's something bothering me about his divorce.
Yeah, we need to know what's going on. Mm-hmm. So they do ride the horses. It's beautiful scenery, but I felt like they were both very uncomfortable. And like you said, he kind of looks over at her and says, "Are you okay?" And she's not okay.
Because she was somewhere else. I mean, she was thinking about everything else other than the date.
Yeah, I think what triggered that, and this is just me making stuff up in my head, she's worried about her mom, of course. She sees the hawks. But then when Jonathan didn't take the lead and her face dropped, I think she's thinking, he's not the one. I'm not sure I'm going to find the one. Nobody's going to be my husband, John, and the way he made me feel. So I think she just kind of got the reality slapped her in the face that we're not connecting, is my opinion. He may be the winner. I have no idea. Let me just quickly see if I can, just the notes from this interview I heard of him. We may not have time, but we'll see if we do. He was okay, I just want you to tell me, red flag, green flag, yellow flag, which we learned in another episode means didn't change your mind one way or the other. Jonathan said he was a big follower of the Bachelor franchise. He's watched a lot of seasons of the younger Bachelor. Is that red flag, green flag, yellow flag?
No flag.
No flag. Okay. He said he had an online presence already, and the Bachelor producers contacted him. They saw his pictures and his age and contacted him. Red flag, green flag, no flag?
Still no flag.
Okay. When they contacted him, that's a red flag. When they contacted him, he thought it was for the regular Bachelor. And he said, Golden Bachelor? I wouldn't be attracted to anyone in that age range.
Okay, big red flag.
Yes. And then he thought, wait, I'm 61. What am I talking about? But he already said the first part out loud.
Okay.
Then they said, have you dated anyone since your divorce? Yes, I have. I'm on the dating apps, and I matched with this woman in Norway. So we communicated, and finally I thought, I'm just going to go to Norway. So I traveled to Norway. That relationship lasted about a year, and I realized it was taking time away from my kids and my family, and that it was really just a fantasy to think I could date someone that lives in Norway. Red flag, green flag, yellow flag?
Dumb flag.
I'd like to know how old she was and what she looked like. They asked her what his type is, and he said tall, thin, and blonde. So somebody in Norway was probably that. So Joan is his type. I did notice him looking her behind her, like when she was getting on the horse and looking her up and down, kind of evaluating her body. So Jonathan's kind of going down in my book. All right, so back at the mansion, Captain Kim, Tia's favorite, is writing a song for the group to sing.
Hmm?
It's called Mansion Men. What did you think about that?
I thought it was Dumber and Dark.
It sounded like an army march or something.
Well, he's just...
When people were not thrilled about this song. Now, let me give him credit in saying, anytime somebody writes a song or sings a song on the show, they say, this is my original composition. And I think, ugh, it's because of copyright. They can't get a copyright. If he wanted to sing You Light Up My Life, they wouldn't have time to get that all together. So let's give him credit and the talent show credit that you cannot sing somebody else's song. It's got to be an original song. Unless you're Taylor Dane, then you can sing your songs. So let's remember that. But it sucked. It did suck. But he was disappointed as he was singing it to the group and said, let's all sing it together. He had in his mind probably choreography, probably everything. He's kind of a control freak, I think.
Major.
Okay.
And that would have ticked me off if I had been those men.
Yeah. Well, they were all looking at each other when he was singing it. And I thought Gary and Dan were definitely not feeling it.
Mm-mm.
But Gary, remember, he's Tina Turner's godson. So he knows music. He knows good music.
And I even wrote, I so wish I picked Gary. I really like him a lot.
Oh, Tia. Well, I wish I'd picked Pascal, so we both did good. Yeah, I'm very attracted to him and his kindness and his happiness, just a positive vibe. But he very diplomatically says, look, Kim, this is your song to Joan. You need to be the one to deliver.
Right. It didn't stop Guy, though.
Well, Guy was trying to be supportive, you know.
Yeah, whatever.
So Captain Kim says, well, Beethoven wrote the Fifth Symphony, but he had to have a whole orchestra to perform it. So he's comparing Mansion Men to Beethoven's Fifth Symphony.
Yeah, really?
So he pouts, of course.
Of course. Because that's what mature men do.
Get red face and pout.
Yes.
Yeah. And then back to the Jonathan date. They're having champagne by the pond, which is kind of the version of the evening part of the date. And this is where he talked about his turtle. He feels like he's not good enough. Joan assures him that he is good enough, and she does give him the rose. And then they see the hawks on the way back. So we kind of got that out of order. But do you feel like he's always fishing for compliments by saying, I don't think I'm good enough? Or do you think that's legitimate?
Well, no. I mean, at first about the prom, that touched my heart because he was crying because he never got to go to the prom. But now he's just coming across to me as a big old crybaby.
I understand.
Oh, you've got to make me feel good all the time.
Exactly.
Ugh.
And when I heard that interview with him, he was so confident and even a little cocky and just total different voice. So that was his, because he watches The Bachelorette and follows it. He knows he's got to pick his theme. This is my theme. This is my character. I don't think that's who he really is, Tia. It makes me disappointed. All right. So even though he got the rose, I felt like Joan was kind of ending on a down note with him. He didn't really lift her up like Pascal did. Okay, so then they have the cocktail party, and Joan has on a beautiful dress. I loved her dress. Mm-hmm. And it was this. Mm-hmm. Or was that the Las Vegas dress? That might be. Oh, she wore the blue kickball date dress. That was cute. The blue dress. It's sold out.
Sweater.
Yeah. I love her style. That dress is $105 if you want to get that, Tia.
I don't.
All right, here's the dress. Ugh, beautiful color. I don't know how you describe that color, but it looks so good with her skin. She looked gorgeous. She has a vulnerable talk with the men and how she's tired of trying to be strong. Like I said, she still loves her husband, and maybe she'll only be able to give about 80 or 90% to someone new, and they need to know that. What did you think about that confession, or I guess you call it?
I really liked it. And then Chalk asked for time to talk to her, and I put Chalk is just like John.
It could be. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's my front runner at this time. Mark said he certainly understands what she said. Yeah, and Chalk took her aside, and she had lost her dad, she told Chalk, 3 months after her husband. Mm-hmm. And, each of us have lost a parent. And once you lose a parent, everything changes. You know, you feel your life will never be the same. You realize your mortality. You realize that your life is progressing to an end. You know, your generations are passing. And I think it's just hitting her all at once. Oh, sad. What she's been carrying all this time. How she's been trying to be strong and upbeat and all that about it. And it's just hitting her all at once. And then Gary read the prayer to her that he wrote for her mother, Mary.
Right. And I said, I'm so in love with Gary.
Aw, Tia. Yeah, I love that too. I will say, without getting too into it, I was reading about Gary and his favorite pastime. Now, Jonathan's favorite pastime is taking a nap. I can get down with that. Gary's favorite pastime is watching The View. And we'll just leave that there.
Okay. Let's just leave that there.
Okay. So, of all things he could have said, Charles chooses the moment for them to talk to try to get the rose. You know, this is his last-ditch effort before she gives the roses out, to present her a picture of his wife.
I just put, Charles is so kind. I mean, they're so friend ships. So.
I think he knows there's no point in being romantic, so. Because that would not be a gift I would want as a romantic.
No, he just showed it.
He didn't give it to
No.
Okay, all right.
That would have been awkward.
I think so too. Here, I thought you might would put this on your mantle.
Wow.
Well, let me ask you this. If you married a man who was a widower, and he wanted to put a picture of his wife in your home out, would that hurt your feelings?
Not at all, because that's part of their life.
I agree. All right. Guess who shows up, Tia?
Okay. Well,
I want to hear your thoughts, buddy.
I wrote, I just threw up in my mouth. He is a weirdo. And I'll just stop right there with my comments. I mean,
if you weren't able to guess it, it was Gary, the Golden Bachelor, who showed up to give Joan advice. Apparently they're friends and they stayed in touch. I think they wanted us to think he was going to come back and say, could we still get together?
I would have quit watching it.
Oh, God.
I'm not kidding. I really would have.
I don't like Gary.
I don't either.
But they would look good together. I mean, they kind of look the same. Yeah.
No, they wouldn't.
So they ended up sitting on the bench together talking that they were on last year when she said, I've got to go because my daughter needs me. So that was kind of a poignant moment.
And I put, I'd rather take advice from one of my babies, meaning my dogs.
Dog love advice.
How about that? How about that?
Okay. So, and it was kind of a brief, I don't even know what the point was. It was to make us watch to see what was going to happen, I guess. So Captain Kim and Guy sing, was it Gil or Guy? It was Guy, wasn't it? Sing the mansion song for her?
Uh-huh. And I said, and look, Kim must have been a great captain because he only could talk one guy into singing with him. I am so glad I never had to rely on him being the captain of anything that I was on. How about that?
Well, maybe that's his problem because he's a captain. People had to do what he said, whether it was a good idea or not. Well, and life doesn't work that way.
No, it doesn't.
All right. So I put Jordan gives her a cookie. Does that make sense? Jordan gives her a cookie.
Yes, he did.
Okay. That's not a euphemism for anything.
No.
It was an actual cookie. Dan wears the shark suit and tries to bite Joan. That was just happened for a second. And that was kind of weird. That was just a flash. You may not even have noticed that. Okay, so Joan has to make a decision after all this she's been through today and the interactions with all these men. She has got to choose the men that she wants to stay. So Tia, as I announce who she gave the roses to, just thoughts about how you feel about them now, if you would agree with that you would have given that rose, or just any feeling that you want to share with that particular person. All right, Pascal already has the rose from the Las Vegas one-on-one. I agree with that rose. I would have given him one. Thought that was a good date. What about you?
I agree.
Gil got the rose from the kickball group date. Joan doesn't know what's going to transpire. In case you don't know, Gil had some legal issues, and they're going to edit him out. You can look that up if you want. Would you be on board with Gil, you think, if you didn't know what you know? Because he was was he one of your choices?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Do you find him attractive?
Not much.
Okay. Yeah. So he got the rose from the kickball group date, and so we have no choice but to give him a rose and show him. Jonathan got the rose from the one-on-one horse ride, which I would have given him the rose too, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So next, Guy. Tia's Guy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Dan. How you feeling about Dan now? I don't think they're showing him, and we're not learning enough about him.
Right.
Hopefully there'll be a one-on-one next week, maybe with Dan. I'm starting to find him more attractive. Gary.
Absolutely.
Yeah, sweet little Gary. Jordan.
Absolutely.
I mean, just based on hotness, right? And then Chalk.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Chalk is my front runner. Charles, I think that was just a kindness.
That's a kind gesture.
Yeah. Keith.
I like Keith.
Yeah. We haven't seen much from him lately, but
Right.
he's still a contender, I think. And Mark.
Yes.
Yeah. Mark's cutie. He's the youngest. So, Tia and I, Joan, you did good there. At some point in time, she's going to have to let Charles go, I think. I mean, she doesn't have to, but I'm not seeing a physical connection there. So that means going home. Captain Kim. I said Captain Kim. Tia's giving a standing ovation. He said, I'd like to remain your friend, and kissed her.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say something you're not going to like. But if Captain Kim was next year's Bachelor, I would give him a chance.
Okay.
I mean, I see that. I recognize that temper in that red, but maybe he will see himself on this season and say, whoa, I'm not coming across good. I need to work on that. And maybe he can. Maybe he can. Maybe he's desperate. Maybe he's lonely. I don't know. I'm going to give him a chance, Tia. Because I think he's physically attractive. Gregiga is gone. That means you will not have to hear me say Gregiga.
And I'm praising God for that.
But I will say, if Gregiga was the Bachelor next year, I would be down for that too. I've changed my mind about Greg.
Okay.
CK, he just didn't get enough time. He was very attractive to me, kind. He seemed very kind, athletic. Maybe he was just a little too quiet, so he didn't get a lot of camera time. What was your thoughts on CK overall?
Nothing.
Yeah, it was
because
hard.
I didn't write anything.
Yeah, it was hard for us to get to know CK, but great smile. At this point, the fans, I was wondering how the fans might be feeling about these guys, if they agree with us. And I thought, how can I figure that? How can I know that? I tried to read comments and stuff, but there's just too much out on the internet to try to keep up with. So I thought, Instagram followers, because by now people are watching. If they're into it, they're going to be looking up these guys and following them. That's what people do. So Joan has, just to comparison, Joan has 73,000 followers on Instagram. Gil has 206 followers, and I'd say that's because of his bad publicity. Pascal has 2,233. I'm listing them as they get higher, the most followers. So Pascal has 2,233. Dan, no, I didn't do it in that way.
No, you didn't.
Okay, let me do it that way.
Are you going to go through everybody that has followers?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
I mean, the ones that are left. Gil has 206 followers. Dan has 1,112 followers. Jonathan has 1,288 followers. Gary, okay, I missed Gary. Gary has 1,205. Keith, 1,595. Guy, 2,209. Pascal, 2,233. Jordan, 2,450. Chalk, 4,975. And Charles has 4,976. Again, I think that sweetness follows. But the number one follows is Mark at 22,000 followers.
Mm.
Compared to a couple of thousand for everybody else. So that is telling. I think that's telling. And it may tell us that he's going to be the Bachelor next year. Because they're going to look and see all those numbers and say, that's who we need to. So, Joan, if you're not really 100% into him, could you let him go so we could use him next year? Don't pick him. And I guarantee you they do stuff like that. So, I thought that was kind of interesting. Okay, Tia, let's hear from Deb in Chicago. Listener friend Deb, thank you so much for taking the time to call us, Deb. Tia has not heard these messages, so I'm anxious to get her thoughts. So here we go.
Hello, my favorite podcast ladies. This is Debbie. So I have to tell you, I'm always listening to you in my car. So when you were going through the BachChat review yesterday morning, so many of the guys you're talking about, I couldn't picture in my head. So that's why I accidentally spoiled it for you by texting you about Gil last night. So anyway, I just thought I'd give my 2 cents since I find this fascinating and have completely different opinions on some of this than you guys do. First of all, I adore Charles. He is so stinking adorable. This process has really helped him, and even though I don't think that he's going to make it to the end, I think this process is going to help him get out there and find love somewhere. So I think he's adorable. I totally agree with the Dena and comparison. Oh my gosh, when I looked him up yesterday, I was cracking up because I knew exactly who you were talking about, even if I didn't remember his name. Captain Kim and the song, that part was hysterical with all the guys rolling their eyes. So I thought their reactions were just very funny. I have to tell you, I'm not sure what you both see in Jonathan. And I'll get to more of that later, but no, he just doesn't do it for me. He likes to show his chest, both.
All right, we'll stop there. And we've got 2 more messages. So I feel like we kind of agreed on all that.
Yes, absolutely, with the exception of Jonathan.
Yeah, we've come around.
We're now saying he needs to button his shirt up. So.
Yeah, or maybe wear a white undershirt.
Yeah, something.
He's proud of his tattoos, and he's proud of his chest. But yeah, so the Danny Bonaducci thing, I'm glad I was validated in that description. Although I feel differently about Greg now. So, but see, she doesn't feel Jonathan at all. So that just goes to show you. I still think he's the hottest looking one, and you talk about his eyes are incredible. So. It's interesting. Everyone is not for everyone.
Right.
Would be the lesson there. Okay. All right. Okay, here's more from Debbie. Very opinionated Debbie.
Okay, so picking back up here with Jonathan, and he likes to show his chest too much. The no shirt at prom, and then the very unbuttoned look while he was, riding the horse. Just didn't like it. I think he's always looking for sympathy. I want to know why he's divorced. Granted, I have wonderful people in my life that are divorced and for good reason, but he didn't explain why he was divorced, and I'd like to know that. And I think the hawk flying over at the end of the horse ride was telling her, no, don't pick him, please, not him. But I do love Joan's vulnerability. Chalk is my front runner. I liked him last week. I really liked him this week. And I think Gary is very sweet and lovable. I loved the quote, Charles, if you're ready, Charles will be ahead of you. And if you're not, Charles will be behind. I just thought that was very, very, very sweet. Because, again, I have a soft spot for Charles. Gary shows up. My first thought was, ew. But I think the conversation he had with Joan was very sweet. And it ended up being a good thing. I loved that Guy comes out and he's the only one to sing along with Captain Kim. I thought that was cute because I do like Guy, and I'm glad that he got a rose. Dan, we don't know anything about him, so who the heck is he, and why did he get a rose? I'm going to stop here and start over with my last few comments.
Okay, do you want to comment?
She's hysterical, absolutely hysterical. I can't wait till she hears Wednesdays, because then she'll go, oh, wow. So we're getting a little bit more. But, I mean, I can see why she loves Charles. I mean, Charles, I've said, love him. Mm. And she's right. I do think that this is going to help him immensely from this point forward.
Right. This was a good experience for him, even if he's not chosen. Yeah, and I remembered that quote, and I had forgotten about it, but that was so sweet to say, I'm ahead of you if you want me to lead, but I'm behind you if you don't want me.
Right.
I'm always back here to support you.
Because it was like Charles in charge.
Yeah, that's so precious. That was so precious. Yeah. And Gary's a little sweetie. I just don't think Debbie finds Gary attractive, and she can't help that.
Who, Gary?
Yeah. I think Debbie said she thought ew when he showed up. But then
Well,
he had
I had a little throw up in my mouth. Really?
What?
Gary?
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
Hello.
Well, Gary's a sweetie.
From the first Bachelor, the Golden
Oh,
Bachelor.
that Gary.
Wow. Ooh.
Oh, Jerry.
His name's Gary.
That's about. Oh, we're getting our Garys mixed up.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no. Okay. That was the ooh. I thought, how could she say ooh for little Gary? Okay. Okay. So far we've come around to what Debbie's thinking. And I think Debbie's going to find we've come around to her way of thinking, because Tia did not listen to these messages beforehand, and you guys are kind of mirroring each other's opinions. Tia's over here saying yes while we're listening. Yeah. All right. So here's our final message from Debbie.
Okay, picking up where I said we don't know anything about Dan. I'm not sure why he got a rose. Gary's very sweet. Jordan, I think, is a good choice. I do like him. So happy that Chuck got a rose. And Charles, even though I don't think he'll be the last one standing, I adore him. Keith, the girl dad, was a great choice. Mark was a good choice. Bye-bye to Captain Kim, Greg, and CK. I do think it was hysterical when Guy came out to sing with Kim at the end. I do think Guy is adorable, and he's really grown on me. And I have to tell you, you mentioned Danny Bonaducci. As I was looking at this, I think Chalk reminds me of Patrick Duffy. Take a look at him, and there's just something about him. He's got that Patrick Duffy, from Dallas look. So anyway, I love you both. I love listening to you. Thank you for making my car rides enjoyable. It's always fun. I try to listen to you as soon as I can when you release your most recent podcast. Sometimes I get a little bit behind, but I do listen to every single one. Love you guys. Take care. Bye-bye.
Oh, thank you, Debbie. Okay, thoughts on that last message?
Thank you so much, little sweet Debbie. You are precious. And thank you for supporting us. And I don't know about Dan. So we're going to have to hang in there and find out together. And boy, am I so happy that I'm not calling him Captain. I'm glad that Kim's out of there.
Yeah. She's got some great. And what do you think about the Patrick Duffy?
Patrick Duffy, she's absolutely correct.
Yes.
Absolutely correct.
Yeah. Don't remember him from Dallas. Look him up now, how he looks now with the gray hair. So, yeah, good job, Debbie. Thank you so much. And see how easy it is to call in and give your opinion. And if you don't want us to play it, we won't. But we'd love for you to give us your opinion. So thank you, Deb. Okay, Tia, final thoughts on this episode. If she had to choose today, who would she choose?
Again, I'm going to have to watch it.
No, I'm just saying, if it was the end of the episode, I think she would have chosen Chalk. If this was her last episode. Yeah. So we hope you will watch, if you can tonight, watch The Bachelorette on ABC for the next episode, episode 4. It comes on at 8 p.m. If you can't, you can always stream it before next week, because our review of tonight's episode will come out next Wednesday morning. So your little pre-gaming thing. So thank you, Tia, for all your wonderful thoughts. Thank you, Debbie. I love you, Tia.
Love you.
All right. Bye, guys. Join us Sunday for Giggles and Gratitude.
Bye-bye.